this video, we will discuss about longest substring without repeating characters. Given a string S, find the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. So what they are saying is that in the input, we are given a string and we need to find out the longest substring without repeating characters. So basically, what is a substring? A substring is a part of the string which is consecutive, right? So if I take this A, B, D, E, then here A, B, D, E, these are all consecutive, right? So this can be considered as a substring. But if I take A, B and A, B and A, then this is not a substring because it is not consecutive, right? Now what you need to find is, you need to find such a substring from this string where you are having no repeating characters, meaning all the characters are appearing only once, and that substring should be the longest. Then whatever is its length, that you need to return as your answer, right? So in this string, you will have basically the English letters, the digits and symbols, all the characters, right? So in total, we have 256 characters. So if we see its ASCII value, so it goes from 0 to 255. So these are the ASCII values of the characters, right? So these are all the possible characters that you can have in your string. Now, how you will identify the longest substring without repeating characters? So see, one of the possible ways is that you generate all the substrings of the string, right? And then in whichever substrings you have all the characters appearing only once, you can check their length, right? And you can take the maximum of all those lengths. Then whichever will be the maximum, that you can return in your answer, right? But that is a very brute and naive approach, and complexity wise, if you will see that we will be going to generate all the substrings, right? All the substrings will take around n square complexity, right? So that we will need to optimize, right? So now how should we proceed further? So if you see here, we want a substring, right? We want a substring which is nothing but a part of our string which is consecutive, right? So if this is a particular substring I am considering, and in this you will see that okay, A is appearing twice, I cannot take this, so you will shift to this substring, then you will check for this, right? So basically you are having a window inside your string which you are shifting here and there on the basis of your conditions, right? And any window that you are considering, any window that you are considering in your string, you will have a starting index and the ending index, or we can say the left and right of that particular substring, right? So basically we can apply some logic of two pointer and sliding window here to find out the longest substring without repeating characters, right? Now how do we do that? How do we do that? So see, whenever we are considering any substring, we want only unique characters, right? How can you identify whether a particular character has appeared more than once or not? You will have to store somewhere, right? That okay, this particular character had appeared earlier and this was not appeared earlier, right? So for that, what you can do is that you can maintain a map. You can maintain a map. Its size will be 256. Why 256? Because the number of possible unique characters inside your S can be 256, right? That's why. So you can create a map of size 256, and initially you can keep the value for all those characters as -1. So -1 will denote that this particular character has not appeared till now, right? So instead of map, we can create a vector or an array, right? Why? Because we know that the size is going to be 256. Initially we are keeping the value as right, and for accessing it in constant time, we can use an array or vector, right? So what you can do is, so you can create a vector integer, right? Let's suppose that's name is MP. You can create its size as 256, and initially all the values will be -1. Now what you are going to do? So see, as I said, we are considering a substring over here. A substring will have the starting index and the ending index, right? So starting, let's denote with L, which is left, and ending, let's denote with R, which is right. Right. So what you will do is, first of all, you will start from the first character of your string, right? And you will consider this as your substring. So initially what will happen is that you will have a variable L and you will have a variable R. Both of these will be pointing to the first character, right? So basically I am creating two variables over here. L, this is also 0, and R is also 0 initially. Okay. Now what I am saying is, now when you are at this index, right, your current character is C. So right now, what is your substring? This, only this, right? Because the starting and the ending index both are at C. So my substring is C. How can I calculate its length? So L is giving the starting index, R is giving the ending index. So can I say that the length of my substring will be R minus L plus 1? right? In this case, both are 0. So it will be 0 minus 0 plus 1, which is 1, right? Substring was C. Can I say its length is 1? Yes, right? So now if you see here, for this C to be considered in my substring, this C shouldn't have appeared before in the substring that I have considered, right? So what you will do is that you will check that, okay, is this C present in my map or not? So you will see that in your map, if let's suppose I remove this, suppose this is your map. I'm just drawing it visually so you can understand. So here we didn't have encountered C earlier, so C won't be present here, right? So that means we can consider C in our substring. But now that we have encountered this C, we should mark it inside our map so that later on when we encounter any C, we know that we have already encountered it, right? So what we'll do is that inside our map corresponding to C, we will keep its index. So here your indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So the index of C is 0. So you will keep 0 here, right? So now that you know that C can be considered, now you will move to the next character. So basically your R will move to A now, right? Now you see, now we are considering this character A. So you will again check that is A present in my map or not. So you will see that A is not present. It has not been encountered earlier. Then that means we can take it into consideration, right? So earlier we saw the character C. Our substring was C. In that case, our length was coming out as 1, right? So if I keep the track of a max length, if I keep the track of the max length, then it was 1 earlier, right? Now when you have encountered A, you saw that A was not present here. So A can be taken into consideration. So now what will be your new length? It was R minus L plus 1. R is 1, L is 0. So it will be 2, right? C and A. So now you will update your max to 2. And since you have encountered A now, so in your map you will update A and you will keep the index of A, which is 1, right? Then you will come to the next character, which is B. So your R is going to move to B, right? Now you will see, is B present in my map? No, it is not present. So we'll consider B also. Its length is 3. So your length will be updated to 3 and you will update B with its index in the map, right? Next you will consider D. Then you will see that, okay, D is also encountered for the first time. So we can take D also. So now the length has become 4. So we'll update your max length to 4 and you will update D inside your map also, right? Then you will come at E. Then again you will see that it is encountered for the first time. So you can take E also. So now your max length will become 5 and you will update E inside the map, right? Next you will come at A. The next character is A. So your R will come here, right? Now you will see that A is already present in the map. A is not having its value as -1, it is having some other value, then that means A has already been encountered, right? Then that means we cannot take this A as part of this substring, right? So what we'll do is we will shift our substring towards the right. And how are we going to shift it? So basically right now my starting point is C. If I move it to next character, which is A, then you will see this will be the substring, right? But here again A is being repeated. So what you will do is you will start your next substring from here, which is just after the repeated character, just after A. So you will move your left to B, right? And how will you know that you need to move to character B or you need to move your left variable to B? Because in the map corresponding to A, we had stored its index, which was 1, meaning A had appeared at index 1. So you will move your variable L to this index plus 1. That is the next character, right? So now your substring will be this much and its length is 4. And in our maxi, we already have 5. So we won't update it. But since here we have encountered A, so inside our map, we will update the index of A to 5 for further consideration, right? So now you will again move your right. So now it will point to C. Now you will see that, okay, this C is here. Now from the map, you are seeing that C is not having its value as -1, then that means it was repeated, right? But if you closely look here, that you are considering this much substring as of now, right? And in this particular substring, C is only appearing once. Then that means if I only look at this and I leave this C and I move my substring further, then it will be wrong, right? Because in this particular substring, C is appearing only once. From the map, it is telling me that C has appeared earlier, but if you closely look at its index, it is 0. 0 is out of my range of substring, right? My L is here, my substring is starting from here and C is present before this L. Then that means in that case, I can ignore this. I can ignore the presence of C. I will consider it as unique only in my substring. So what you need to check is that, okay, if C is present in my map, then let's check what is its index. If this index is coming before left, then that means I can ignore it. I can consider this string. I can ignore this thing and I can consider this substring. But if this index would have been equal to L or between somewhere here, then I would have to shift my left, right? So in this case, since 0 is less than 2, which is our L, so we can ignore this thing. We will consider this substring. Here the length is 5, max is already 5, so we'll keep it as is, but we will update the occurrence of C inside our map, which will now be 6, right? Now we will move our right pointer towards the right, so now it will come at B. Now you will see that, okay, B is already present in my map and it is present at index 2. And my L is also present at index 2. Then that means the substring that I am considering right now, in that B is appearing more than one time. So I should remove the B, right? So what you will do is, here corresponding to B, we have 2. So you will shift left 2, 2 plus 1, which is 3, right? So now your L will point to this D, right? And your substring will be this much. D, E, A, C, B. Here every character is appearing only once. The length is 5. Max length is already 5. We won't update it, but we will surely update the index of B, which will now become 7. And then your R will come at D now. Now for this D, again you will see that it is already present and the index is 3. And this 3 is equals to the left. Then that means in my current substring, D is being repeated. So I will move my left and my left will become 3 plus 1, that is 4. So left will become this and I will update D to 8. And now my current substring is this. Its length is 5. Max is already 5. I won't update it. Now you will see that R has reached the end of your string. We don't have any character further to consider. So then that means here we can stop, and whatever is the maximum length that is kept in this variable, this is going to be our answer, right? So it is simple. So what we are doing is, so these two pointers we have taken, the L and R. Another thing that we need is the maximum variable, which will store the maximum length. So it will be 0 initially, right? Now what you will do is, as I said, when R reached the end of the string, then we stopped, right? So if let's suppose N is storing the length of S, then you need to loop while your R is less than N, right? Now inside this, what you need to do is, if the current character is present in the map or not. So basically, if MP of S of R is not equals to -1. So this means that the character is already present. It is repeated, right? So in that case, what you will check? You will check that if whatever is the value, whatever is the index that is present in the map, is this greater than or equals to L? If it is greater than or equals to L, then that means this is present in the substring that I am considering right now. So in that case, I will update my left and my left will become MP of S of R plus 1, right? Now we need to update the length. So the length will be, let's suppose we create a variable length. So it will be R minus L plus 1. Now that you have got the length, you need to update the maximum variable. So maxi will be equals to maximum of maxi comma length, right? Now, since we have encountered this character, we need to update it in our map also, right? So in your map, you will update S of R to the current index, which is R. And then you will update your index to the next character. So you will do this entire process until your R is within the range of the string. Once you reach the end of the string, we will stop, and at the end we will return the maximum length, which is stored in the variable maxi. So I hope you got the problem. So let's code it out now. So firstly, we will create a vector. Let's name it MP. Now this will be of size 256 and initially all the values will be -1. Then we need to create two variables L and R, which will denote our starting and ending index of the substring. Both will be pointing to 0 initially. And then we'll create a variable maxi for storing the maximum length. Then we will run a while loop. So the condition will be while R is less than the size of the string. So let's store that also in some variable. So N will be equals to S dot length. So while R is less than N, inside this what we'll do, we'll check that if MP of S of R is not equals to -1, then that means this character has already been encountered. So we will check what is its index. So if MP of S of R is greater than or equals, then that means this character is present more than once in our current substring. So we will update L. So now L will become MP of S of R plus 1, right? And then what we'll do is that we will find out the length of the current substring, which will be R minus L plus 1, right? Then we will update the maximum length. So maxi will be equals to max of maxi comma length, right? Then we need to update the index of the current character in our map. So we will do MP of S of R equals to R. And then we want to move to the next character. So we will do R plus plus. And at the end, we will return maxi, which will store the maximum length. So now if you see here that we started the variable R from 0, right? Until when we are going till our R is smaller than n. So we are running this loop n times, right? So what will be the overall complexity of our code? It will be order of n, right? And if we see the space complexity, so here we had taken a map whose size was 256. Others are normal variables, right? So the space complexity of our code will be order of 256, right? So let's run this now. So test cases are accepted. Let's submit this. So it got accepted. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe our channel.